What's up, YouTube fam? It's Dark Angel's Journey, and I'm Shakira. And it's a beautiful Saturday here in the DMV. Now, I wanted to take some time and talk about market structure. I think that's something that's been super helpful to me as a beginner, right? And I want to spend some time paying attention to that, you know? And since the markets are pretty glacial today, I will most likely not be trading on this weekend after this very volatile week. And I'll wait to see how, the markets behave on Monday and then maybe start popping in back in on Tuesday. Maybe. If I see a good setup for Monday, then of course I'll put it in, but otherwise. Okay, if that sounds like a good time, let's have a conversation, right? And see if we can understand how the markets move and how price moves. And another thing that I wanted to also add to this is, you know, once we understand the kind of flow, the ebb and flow of the markets, how do the different sessions, like the Tokyo session, or I should say the Asian session just overall, and versus the European sessions versus the American sessions, actually affect how price moves, right? Because back in the day, it was a big room of people just yelling and screaming at each other and buy this, buy that. But at the end of that session, they would share all of the setups that they had with the other markets so that they could follow the program. And they're like, okay, well, you did this. I'm going to go ahead and do that, right? So some markets set the tone, others follow, and it's just back and forth, right? So it's the kind of thing that I think would be super useful to kind of just understand overall, right? So if you have like some understanding of, let's say, price with, the New York and Sydney markets dropped the price and Asia was like, nah, we're bringing it back up. So, potentially the probability is that, okay, great. So Asia's marked it back up. Either we can like rebalance the price or continue back up. Well, we can take a quick look at and see how that's thought process might be accurate or not, right? Okay, that sounds like a good time. Let's do it. All right, so I've just grabbed EOUSDT just randomly here, and I have actually I had planned to do some back testing, and I'm going to do that later, but that'll be a different video. Um, Today I'm just going to focus on I'm just going to focus on the market structure like we talked about. So I'm going to turn all these off, right? And I'm gonna pop over to the daily charts for EOUSD, right? Now, I don't know if this is the best pair to show this to you guys, but when I think of structure, I think of these formations, right? So boom, 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 two, three, boom, 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 rinse and repeat. And so on, right? So you'll find that, you know, the markets tend to move in these flows, right? So for example, and look, it's never going to look perfect like this, right? Because it's the market and they're going to do what they're going to do. But let's take a look and see if we can't find these structures just hanging about. So like, for example, here, what do we see? We have a rise, retrace, lower high, come down, retrace, drop, right? Now, I'm just showing you that this type of structure, it's it can form in its own waves. So like we've just seen the M formation, this portion of it form, boom, 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 retrace, drop. Does not mean, and we have this big consolidation area here, does not mean it has to flow in exactly this format, right? And I'm looking up because I'm looking at my other screen, so don't be mad at a sister for that, okay? But what I'm starting to understand is, and you can find these structures at any point in time, right? Um, so, we see it here. I'm using the daily because it might be a lot easier to spot, right? So let's back up a little bit and see if we can see a little bit more, right? Actually, you know what? Let me put that back up, right? Do that. Sorry. And sometimes, you look at this and it just looks insane, right? But if you start to understand the way these structures are working, like look at this guy, right? And hold on, before I draw that, you got to start to train your eyes to see the structures. So ignoring all of that other noise up top here. So we've dropped, retraced, dropped, found what could essentially be a bottom, retraced, made a higher low. Sorry. And I lost this. I lost the thingy. Sorry about that. And then rolled back up, retraced, continued up. See that? Now, does that not look like, let me move this over here. Does that not look like this leg of the structure, right? So my point is this. It's constantly forming these back and forth. Everybody calls it different things. They're W's, they're M's, they're, whatever. It's all the same, whatever you call it. The only thing that matters is that you can recognize it. Just just think about that, right? If you can recognize that, then you'll have an edge on the market because understanding the structure can give you clues about where the market's going to go next. So, for example, we see this big drop, right? This big drop, retrace, and continuation down. But look, just like anything else, the market can't drop forever. Just that's why the structure is like that, right? If you're in an uptrend, because think about it, guys, and I'll say it like this, right? The market can do three things. Three. It can go in three directions. It can go up, right? It can go down, and it can consolidate sideways. That's it. Those are your three options, right? So if you already understand that those are your three options when you're prepping and trying to predict your trades, then you'll take a look at where you are in the move, right? And understanding the structure of the market helps you do that. So if you've, for example, seen this big drop and we're continuing down, and then you come to this point right here where you've made a lower low, and then the next bottom that comes in is a higher low. That's a clue to say that, you know what? Potentially the market's going to go in the opposite direction because sellers couldn't push the price any lower because they didn't have any problems here, did they? Right? They dropped it, did a retrace because that's that relief rally. Can't go down, directly forever, right? And they, seller buyers have to come in and do their thing and then continuation down. But the point is this, like um for every like lower low or whatever, there's another lower low below it, right? And in this smaller move, you had a lower high, lower lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low. You see the difference? So that tells you that potentially there's a high probability that there might be a reversal. And we're seeing it right here, like as an example. Let's look for the opposite. All right, so let me scroll back in time here. And this looks like a insane, oh, wow, that's gross. And maybe I shouldn't be using this particular example. Um, let's go into the lower time frames to see if we can get better structures, easier to see structures from here. Okay, so let's take a look at this uptrend here, right? Let's use this one as an example. And this is an altcoin and it's not the best because they're very volatile. So, be careful. But technically, if you're looking at this on the 4 hour, this is an uptrend, right? Yeah, it is. So check it out, right? So you're in an uptrend and what have we done? We've gone up, we've retraced, we've gone up, we've retraced, we've gone up, we've retraced, right? But that's just the flow of the market, right? So if you are looking and where did I put my ignoring my thought process there? But if we're looking at the bullish version of this, it's the same thing, right? But this is pretty choppy and I don't like it as much. But maybe we should look at the logarithmic. Yeah, why not? Same. Still understand the difference between that. I need to look that up. But the point is, like, it's technically in an uptrend, right? Like, you could do something like this, da 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 da, right? It's in an uptrend on this 4 hour. So what do you have? You have rise, retrace, rise, retrace. You've got a higher low, higher high, higher low because it's higher than this one, higher high, higher low, higher than this one, higher high, higher low, higher than that one, and just rinse and repeat. Now, eventually, and we saw a little cooling here, a cooling here where, price was just kind of like still going up, but coming back to retest this trend line. But like you see scenarios where you can tell that price is going to drop because you've made this run and boom, boom, retrace this manipulation candle down. M formation, right? But like I said, none of these, when it comes to these structures, they're not perfect, right? You just need to understand when you see them. Like, look at this perfect M formation right here. Retrace, come in, and then we're down, retrace, down, retrace, down, all the way back to the trend line. Like, if you understood the structure, you could be trading this all the way to this trend line, right? And then, potentially looking into, if you've got confirmation, taking a long from this location, because so far we're in a very strong uptrend, right? On the 4 hour. And if you had taken it, set your stop loss below here and set your take profit at the next area where price last stopped, you would have been good before it turned around. But look at how it continues to make these confirmations, right? So if you're continuing this thing, you've got this W and another bottom, and I'm not considering this a bottom because, it's not continuation, retrace, continuation, right? It's still a W. It's not perfect. All right. So guys, I just want you to like pay attention, see where these things are forming and use them, right? And in this case, we see a scenario here where on the higher time frame, we've made this is the highest high, right? And we've now made a lower high here because it hasn't been able to bust down to pass this point. So what does that say? Another opportunity for you to recognize, you know what? The market might be turning in the opposite direction. So what do you need to see? You need to see price turn, beat this higher low, and make a lower high. I'm sorry. Yeah, a lower high. Sorry, I always mix them up. And then look for an opportunity to enter and continue downwards. All right. I hope that makes sense. Now I've absolutely positively forgotten the other thing I wanted to talk about. Really should make notes. But the primary thing is market structures, right? And the fact that you can use these things to have a bit of an edge in the market. It shouldn't be the only thing, but think about these types of entries, right? When okay, we're in an uptrend, price has retraced back down, because technically this is a mini downtrend, right? To this trend line, but we're in an overall uptrend. Understanding that, you could be looking for some kind of double bottom or something down here to confirm the entry, because that's what happened, right? It's not perfect, but it did continue back up. Because look, if you're looking for perfection for these structures, don't. Ah, right. I want to talk about the sessions. But see how you could have done that, right, with this entry. I'm just going to pop this back up. I had said it like that. It's not perfect. So, like, you could have come in here and then dipped down into the lower time frames and seen what you had. But look, in this space, you had a doji here, big juicy green candle. I personally believe that, for the most part, every time you get like a nice, and this is like a morning star, right? Every time you get like one of these nice juicy candles, head down to the lower time frames to see. Um, and honestly, here we are. Sorry about that. Head down to lower time frames to see what's up. I think I was over here. Yeah. Right. And see if you've got potential for an entry. Most price action stuff, you're going to be looking for juicy breaks. So this is a juicy break from this trend line. So if you chosen not to take this juicy, green candle upwards, right? Because you had two options. Take something from here and then do a 1 to 2 and then deal with the drawdown, right? Because you would have gotten your take profit, but you would have had to watch all of this insanity right here, right? Or if you're going with actual like price action, big juicy break right here, which means this red candle right here. Look how perfectly they came back into that. Would have been your supply area. And if I turn on my imbalance, you want to bet there is an imbalance right here. So what could you have done? You could have waited for price to pull back into the supply area, right? Seen what it was doing in here. It popped nice red candle. Maybe if you don't like to go into the lower time frames, you could have taken, and I prefer, something like that. And then taking a look at where price had last consolidated at, right? And then you could have set your take profit all the way up there, right? To that top, it's bounced above it. It's a relatively safe area in the middle of that. And that's what? 1 to 8.19, right? Not bad. If you want to be more conservative, you could have been in the middle. If there is an imbalance that hasn't been eaten yet, like I think there's one right here, you could have set it there, still made good profits. Point is, all of these, understanding the structures, are important for you to understand where price may or may not go. So, and I'll dip back up to the higher to my original thing here. Because if you're so like when this happens, and I'll use this portion as a learning space, right? You're in a space where, you're in an obvious downtrend, whatever, but then you see something like this and it's obvious that it's cooling. You might turn around. So now you can start, once it breaks this neckline, you can start looking for that retrace. So you can enter around here to continue back up. Same thing, right? We're going all the way up. You could be like super conservative and get your entries at each break of these little neckline areas here and ride it to the next one, right? But you need confirmation. In this case, you wouldn't have gotten it right because it made a lower high instead of a higher high. Then change your thought process on where it's going to go. So yeah, that is what I wanted to share from a market structure perspective, right? So we're either trending upwards, trending downwards, or we're going sideways. And honestly, as you can see, going sideways is no picnic. Which is why I said at the beginning of this video that I'm not doing diddly squat. Nothing. All right, so this is already like at 19 minutes, and I don't want to make these too long. So I'm going to end this one here, and then I'll do another one, taking a look at the different sessions and how they might give you clues into what might happen into the next session, depending on what you're trading, right? So it behooves us to understand where what the market makers might be trying to do. We're not going to be 100% right all the time. I mean, who could be? But we can try to hedge our bets, right? It's all about probabilities, making every win worth your while and every loss palatable. Okay? All right, guys. So let me know your thoughts down below on these types of vids. As I learn more and understand more, I'm going to be sharing those with you because it helps me also practice and spot them because that's a big deal, right? The more I understand, the better trader I'll be, the more profitable I will be in the long run. And that's the most important thing to me, right? Having the understanding of the market so that I understand what I'm looking at so I don't put in FOMO trades or make the wrong assessments, right? All right. All right, guys. Happy Saturday, I guess, and like and subscribe if you feel like it. If you thought this was helpful, drop a comment. That's always nice. The more you hit a like on the videos, the more YouTube will populate them around, and the more people will get to enjoy this type of content. All right, guys. You enjoy yourselves. I'm gonna go do some testing, and Akira out.